Ahoy there, shipmates! Welcome back to Bob's Carving Hobby. Today we're starting something special, the creation of a handmade wooden pirate sword, a true swashbuckler's cutlass, complete with skull and crossbones hand-carved detail. This sword has all the classic features, a curved blade, a sturdy grip, and of course the iconic bell-shaped handguard. Stick with me through this build, and you'll see how repurposed wood transforms into a pirate's treasure. Let's start with the handguard. I chose a strong, workable hardwood flooring I've had around for a few years. It's very hard and will withstand shaping on the lathe and hold carved detail later. The flooring is too narrow, so I am gluing two pieces together for width. The edges must be dead flat. Using a jointer to flatten the edge ensures the two halves will bond tightly without gaps. After applying the carpenter's glue and clamping the pieces, the board comes together into a single blank. Once dry, it's time to even things up with the planer. Running the board through ensures both surfaces are perfectly parallel and smooth, an essential step before we lay out our circles. I mark 4 circles across the board. A roll of masking tape was just the right size to mark 4 circles that would eventually stack up to form the thickness of the guard. I separated the 4 pieces with the miter saw and then cut out each circle with the bandsaw. Now it's time for the glue up. Each piece gets aligned and stacked, forming one solid block ready for shaping. After clamping and letting it dry fully, the blank is ready to become something recognizable, the bell guard of a pirate cutlass. Onto the lathe. With the block securely mounted on the lathe, the real fun begins. I rough the blank into a rounded form, shaping it into that classic bell guard curve. A raised section is left at the center, just waiting for carved crossbones to be added later. This raised ridge adds character and gives the cutlass that extra touch of pirate flair. It also serves as a tenyon to hold the wood blank in place while I hollow out the inside of the handguard. The guard blank is almost ready. This shows us what a flat, narrow board can become with a little imagination. The finished sanding inside and out start to show the beauty of the wood, but we're not done yet. I drew crossbones onto the tenyon part of the bell guard and made stop cuts around the shapes before placing it into the vise. I chiseled out the crossbones best I could in the shop and then took the work down to my carving desk. I'm giving the bone shapes more definition and creating the slot the blade will slide through into the handle. That's something that I'll complete when all 3 parts are created. And there we have it, the guard blank, shaped and ready for carving. However, this is only one of 3 parts we need. Now we move to the heart of this project, the blade itself. This is where the sword really begins to look dangerous and beautiful. For the blade, I wanted wood that's strong but also has character, texture, and a story to tell. Reclaimed spalted maple almost begs to be used here. It's seasoned and tough enough to hold shape while spalting patterns give the finished sword a weathered, legendary look. It's like it's been at sea for years. I cut a 3/8 inch wide slab off the 3x3 length of maple. I marked the basic blade shape right onto the maple board. Then using the bandsaw, I cut carefully along the lines, freeing the sword blank from the block of wood. Already, you can see the cutlass blade starting to come alive. Next up, shaping. This is where the belt sander becomes essential. I can gradually form the sweep of the blade, create the bevels, and smooth those curves until it feels like a true weapon of the high seas. Unfortunately, the camera didn't record the belt sander work, but it does look good. Wood spalting is caused by water soaking into the wood, starting its decay. Its color and patterns are very cool looking. The thing about spalted wood is that it often has knot holes or softer spots from the spalting. That's not a flaw, that's character, but it needs stabilization. So I use a 5-minute epoxy resin to fill in any gaps and reinforce the wood. Once cured, it adds both strength and a touch of glass-like shimmer inside the maple lines. I carefully remove the excess epoxy with my rotary sander, wearing proper gear of course to keep me safe. Now it's time for sanding. Working up through the grits from 100 to 600 grit brings the blade surface to a silky polish. At this point, the blade boasts those beautiful spalted patterns running across it. The Cutlass blade is complete, sharp looking, smooth to the touch, the second key piece of our swashbuckler's sword. But every sword needs more than just steel, or in our case maple. The handle is the part that brings the sword together. So let's roll up our sleeves and shape the piece that ties this whole design into one wicked pirate's treasure. I went to my wood reserves and a beautiful piece of reclaimed maple I've been saving for years. The perfect size and a great match to the blade. I pulled out the original Cutlass I built 3 years ago and traced a template from the handle. With the template glued to the face and top of my handle blank, I had a reliable guide to start shaping this bad boy. I used the drill press to remove some of the bulk material by drilling out the center area as much as possible. On the table saw, I trimmed the sides down to proper width, making sure not to cut into the future skull pommel. Then the bandsaw allowed me to quickly remove the outside waste and get closer to the handle's profile. With the blank taking shape, I secured it in the workbench vise and got to work with chisels, carving away material and refining the contours. Once I removed the wood inside the grip of the handle, it was back to the belt sander. Here I gave the handle its form, narrowing the grip, smoothing the curves, and preparing it for further carving work ahead. You can start to see the silhouette of a real pirate's handle. This isn't just any handle. On the Cutlass, the pommel will be carved into a skull, while the backbone runs along the top of the grip. Together with the crossbones we've added to the guard, these hand-carved details will make the design truly stand out. A pirate sword with personality. And there we have it, the 3 major components of our handmade swashbuckler's Cutlass: the guard, the blade, and the handle, all rough shaped and ready for final details. In the next video, we'll move on to completing the carving, fitting everything together, and finishing the Cutlass to a gleaming shine, transforming throwaway hardwood into a treasure worthy of an old high seas captain pirate. Please make sure to like and subscribe. We've got more carving projects, more reclaimed wood transformations, and of course, the final reveal of this swashbuckler's Cutlass coming soon. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is Bob Jones, and I will see you in the next video.